Imagine a time, thousands of years ago, when science didn't exist. Imagine the early humans looking up to the sky at night and seeing those lights. What were they? Humans were used to gathering around campfires at night. Those fires would provide protection against animals and warm the cold nights. So, maybe those lights in the skies were also flames used by some celestial beings at night, some inhabitants of the sky. And that was my embarrassing attempt at being poetic. Fortunately, there are people out there that are way better than me at that, especially the late great Carl Sagan, who, in his remarkable poetic style, described in his TV series Cosmos what those early humans might have imagined.
Night, I thought, the stars are flames. They give a little light at night as fire does. Maybe the stars are campfires, which other wanderers light at night. The stars give a much smaller light than campfires, so they must be very far away. I wonder if our campfires look like stars to the people in the sky. But why don't those campfires and the wanderers who made them fall down at our feet?
Okay, that was just a little bit better, right? Hello, I'm Dr. Alejo.
No, I'm not that kind of doctor.
And I welcome you back to another exciting episode of the Wow Contact. And today, we will continue to explore the field of technosignatures, particularly what relates to the history of the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, SETI, a quest that aspires to answer the greatest question of all time: are we alone? If you are not too sure about what technosignatures are, I encourage you to watch this previous video. But very briefly, a widely accepted definition of technosignatures reads: evidence of some technology that modifies its environment in ways that are detectable. This highlights the importance of not only an extraterrestrial civilization having some level of technology, but also talks about our own capabilities of detecting that manifestation of their technology. But were other Earths possible? For a very long time, humans believed that the stars in the sky were revolving around the Earth, similar to how they thought other planets and the Sun itself were revolving around us. Can you really blame them? Intuition dictated that. After all, that's what your eyes show you is happening. In ancient Greece, Aristotle, who lived between 384 and 322 BCE, championed a geocentric model where the Earth was the center of the whole universe. In this model, Earth was the center of motion. This meant that the concept of multiple Earths or multiple worlds didn't make too much sense. By definition, the center of something is unique. But not everybody agreed with that idea. Democritus, who lived between 460 and 370 BCE, and Epicurus, who lived between 341 and 270 BCE, formulated the atomic theory of the universe and concluded that it was highly likely that there were other worlds out there. Their theory gave them no reason whatsoever of why not these other Earths could be inhabited as well. But the geocentric model fitted quite well with the concept of humans being the center of creation, as proclaimed by a good number of religions. This enabled Aristotle's influence to remain strong amongst scholars until the 1600s. Then entered Nicholas Copernicus, who just before his death in 1543 published his heliocentric model, where the sun was at the center and other planets, including the Earth, revolved around it. This essentially indicated that perhaps we weren't that special after all, and the conditions that developed here on Earth that gave rise to life could have happened somewhere else in the universe. Something sometimes referred to as the mediocrity principle. Essentially, this principle states that if you have several categories and you choose an item from any of these categories, it would be more than likely that the item you choose is selected from the category with the largest number of items. In other words, out of all the categories of planets, Earth must belong to the category that has Earth-like planets, and this category must be the one with the largest number of items. In the context of extraterrestrial life, This means that given the existence of life on Earth, life should exist elsewhere in the universe, on Earth-like planets. One of the strongest advocates of this view was the great astronomer Giordano Bruno, who declared in 1584, "In this space we declare to be infinite. In it are an infinity of worlds of the same kind as ours. In space there are countless constellations, suns, and planets. There are also numberless Earths circling around their suns." Due to these ideas and others, Giordano was condemned by the Catholic Church to be burned at the stake. Contrary to Galileo, Giordano Bruno has never received an official apology from the Catholic Church. Anyways, I personally argue that one of the first ever technosignatures proposed was the one introduced by the astronomer Giovanni Schiaparelli in 1877. Schiaparelli believed to have observed canals on Mars. These were thought to be irrigation canals built by Martian engineers to deliver water. These canals were later popularized by the famous writer H.G. Wells in his novel The War of the Worlds, published in 1898. The novel has been adapted to the big screens many times. Scary, but pretty cool. Further observations revealed that there are no canals and no Martians so far. The canals were just optical illusions caused by either some defect in the instruments or in the actual eyes of Schiaparelli. But think about this. It was only in the 20th century that humans were really able to start answering the question whether we are alone in the universe. In other words, only with the invention of radio, and particularly radio astronomy, were humans in an unprecedented position to start answering this question. The first modern attempt to detect interstellar transmissions was done as part of Project Ozma, proposed in 1960 by the astronomer Frank Drake. The search was run for 6 hours a day from April to July 1960, using the receiver on the 26-meter antenna of the National Radio Astronomy Observatory at Green Bank in the USA. The search involved attempting to receive radio transmissions. Radio waves are commonly considered the most likely way of electromagnetic communication. This is because of their ability to be less affected by dust and other particles compared to shorter wavelengths. Because of their long wavelengths, radio waves are less affected by absorption, the process by which electromagnetic waves are absorbed by atoms, molecules, or dust. Another important characteristic of radio waves is that we humans are very good at generating and using them. Our radio wave technology is very mature. We have perfected radio telescopes and our ability to detect such signals. This means that we currently have the observing capability to detect a possible technosignature if it is generated using this technology. As part of Project Ozma, in 1961, Frank Drake held a seminar in Green Bank where he introduced his famous Drake equation in an attempt to break his massive problem of finding alien intelligent life into smaller problems. We will dedicate a full episode to discuss this equation, but for now, the equation attempts to find the number of communicative extraterrestrial civilizations in the Milky Way galaxy, our own galaxy. During the 1970s and early 1980s, NASA pioneered methods for scanning the skies for radio signals. But in the 1980s, NASA canceled its SETI research funding. This forced some researchers, led by Thomas Pearson and Jill Tara, to establish an independent, non-profit research institute dedicated to exploring the possibility of life elsewhere in the universe. The institute was established in 1984 with Dr. Frank Drake as the first president of the SETI Institute's board of directors. The funding model of the original SETI Institute persists until this day. The SETI Institute relies heavily on donations to continue its work. Unfortunately, SETI initiatives have struggled to get the traction that they deserve. For years, the search for extraterrestrial civilization has been something of a taboo. Somehow, searching for microbes and other microorganisms was seen like a valid scientific quest, but searching for radio signals, not so much. All the stories about UFOs and abductions where humans are subject to degrading tests by little green men have caused scientists to stay away, at least in public, from these topics. Fortunately, this has changed in recent years. On July 20, 2015, Stephen Hawking, Yuri Milner, and Lord Martin Rees announced a new SETI initiative named Breakthrough Listen. Breakthrough Listen is the largest ever scientific research with the only objective of finding evidence of civilizations beyond Earth. The program includes observation of the 1 million closest stars to Earth, scanning the center of our galaxy and the entire galactic plane. It even listens for messages from the 100 closest galaxies to ours. The telescopes used are 50 times more sensitive than existing telescopes dedicated to the search for intelligence. The instruments are so sensitive that they would be able to hear a common aircraft radar transmitting to us from any of the 1,000 nearest stars. The initiative also expands the search to what is called optical SETI or laser SETI. Scientists believe that powerful lasers could be used by advanced societies for interstellar communications. The Breakthrough Listen initiative searches are 1,000 times more effective at finding laser signals than ordinary visible light searches. They could detect a 100-watt laser about the energy of a normal household light bulb from 40 trillion kilometers away. A total of $100 million were committed to this initiative, and the data is being currently analyzed using modern data analysis techniques, which include the use of machine learning and artificial intelligence. In addition to projects such as the Breakthrough Listen initiative, and to add to the case that times are indeed changing after years of NASA avoiding the whole technosignatures topic, NASA held a technosignatures workshop in Houston in September 2018. At this workshop, a number of professionals gathered to review the state of this field and to discuss new ideas, methodologies, and techniques. I will link the resulting report in the description. As you can see, the astronomy community is finally starting to embrace openly and without fears of ridicule or the so-called giggle factor, the importance of searching for extraterrestrial civilizations. Upcoming conferences and seminars, such as Advancing the Search for Technosignatures, to be hosted by the International Astronomical Union and the Blue Marble Space Institute in March 2026, are a clear example of this. That also means that I won't be running out of material to bring to you anytime soon. That's it for now. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified whenever I upload new content. Bye for now, and remember, the truth is out there.